to order the Board of County Commissioners regular meeting for October 7th, 2014. First item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance and the salute to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
So do we have a state championship here today or something? I don't think so. Okay, today's kind of a different type of meeting for us. We normally have a work session and then a meeting, but due to conflicts this week, we're going to kind of run them all together today. So first item on the agenda is the approval of the regular meeting agenda. Is there any changes need to come on the agenda?
Motion to approve. Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the regular meeting agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Public input. During this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 5 minutes. Any individual who would like to discuss an item in more depth may request to be placed on the future agenda. Request forms are available in the county's manager's office. Before we get started, I wanted to let you guys know, I think most of you are here for one or two items. Either the EAS, the Essential Air Service, which is fairly quickly, or the resolution on the Gila San Francisco stuff. And if you'll hold your comments until those items come up on the agenda, we will let you talk at that time. Unless you need to get somewhere, then you're welcome to talk during public input. But if you want to talk on those items, we'll let you talk at the time of those, when those come up on the agenda. So that being said, is there any public input today? Please state your name for the record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is this on?
Yeah, now make the red button. Make the button red.
Oh, I see. Great.
Okay, now
Thank you. All right, that's better. Good morning. I'm Allison Civic, Executive Director of the Gila Conservation Coalition. And I am going to make sure I make public comment this morning, even before we get into the discussion this morning on the resolution regarding the Arizona Water Settlements Act. As you all know, we're probably 6 weeks or so away from the Interstate Stream Commission's decision on whether to move forward with the Gila River Diversion Project under the Arizona Water Settlements Act. And my understanding from the resolution today is you're going to be approving or disapproving a resolution to support this development of this Arizona Water Settlements Act water available to us from the Gila River. And you're also going to be approving or disapproving making the Gila San Francisco Water Commission the New Mexico CAP entity. And that entity is an entity under the AWSA that would be able to contract for the water, design, build, and sell water from this project. And I'm not sure how much you've been kept in the loop in terms of the developments. There's been a lot of press statewide, Santa Fe, New Mexican, Albuquerque Journal, in terms of what's been happening on this project. We've had some local media as well. But former Interstate Stream Commission Director Norm Gaum, who has been down here as well and has met with the Gila San Francisco Water Commission and talked about the fatal flaws associated with this project. And I'm just not sure how much of this that you all have heard. His latest calculations, he was able to get a hold of the Interstate Stream Commission's model. Inadvertently, it was given to him through an Inspection of Public Records Act request. And he and his colleagues, engineers from Sandia National Labs and Intel, have found that really there's only 3,700 acre-feet is the median annual water supply legally available for diversion. When you calculate or look at evaporation and seepage from the reservoirs, no water to very low amounts of water would be available from this project. And he's also looked at, there's all these cost estimates out there. If you look at the Bureau of Reclamation costs and then factor in operation, maintenance, and replacement and exchange costs over the life of the project, we're looking at a $1.1 billion project that would yield little to no water. So there are also 6 threatened and endangered species in the Cliff Gila Valley. Huge environmental regulatory hurdles that would significantly constrain a project like this. So I just wanted to make sure we've got documentation. I have copies being made right now, and I'll bring those, those are going to be delivered here shortly. And I hope you'll peruse them before you make this decision on this resolution today. I mean, it's the second part of this is the Gila San Francisco Water Commission. I mean, for those of you who know and come to these meetings, rarely does this group even have a quorum. Okay, and we're actually, this resolution would put the responsibility for hundreds of millions of dollars, potentially $1 billion, in the hands of this group. So this morning I respectfully request that you disapprove this resolution, and I hope you'll make a common sense approach. Non-diversion alternatives, they can meet our needs, our water needs here in southwestern New Mexico at a fraction of the cost, won't put us in debt. So I hope you'll do that this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? State your name for the record, please.
Ronnie Sue Helsner. May I speak also on the Arizona water settlement?
Sure.
Thank you. Have my timer going. I am a former hydrologist and fisheries biologist. I worked on a dam proposal in Utah, and I participated for about 4 years in the Arizona Water Settlement Stakeholder Group, starting with its inception until my retirement. High flows, the 14,000 acre-feet, are the infrequent flows that hydrologically are our channel maintenance flows. They are about the long-term structure and function of any river. So that is one of the big questions here, structure and function, not only water quantity. This is not hypothesis, this is basic hydrologic science. There's a lot of money involved with the Arizona Water Settlements Act. We understand that. And there's a lot of money available even without the second half. $66 million some odd dollars is a lot of money. And even with the second amount, I believe, and I have heard from other stakeholders, that there are a variety of ways to use the 14,000 acre-feet, some of which do not impair the structure and function of a river as much as, say, a dam or major diversion would. So the question isn't whether or not we can spend a lot of money. We know that we can. A dam or diversion type of project will also cost us money. And it will cost us not only dollars in a project, but in irreversible and intangible economic values to the Gila River system. So rather, the question is that which was raised by the film Jurassic Park. The question is, just because we can, does that mean we should? And in that I'm referring to a major physical structure type of development that would greatly modify the Gila River structure and function. The past has taught us that development comes with irreversible changes. And in consideration of the greater good, the legacy of our children's children, consideration of the Gila River's regional and national significance, including, as Allison clearly stated, many species that depend on its system. It seems to me that it dictates that the wisest course of action is to maintain the Gila structure and function, to not commit to any decision at this time that includes major structure and function changes, to really be thinking hard about alternatives. But because there are viable alternatives to that. So with that, I think my 3.5 minutes are up, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public input? Come on up. One or the other, Abby.
Good morning. My name is Stephanie Smith, and I am the local chapter leader of the national organization known as the Great Old Broads for Wilderness. I was thinking about this Arizona Water Settlement Act business, and it reminded me of sitting around the dinner table back in the 50s with my family, my grandparents and parents who go back in Arizona to circa Civil War. And they always chuckled and nodded their heads about the Central Arizona Project's decision back in the day. Back in the day, the Central Arizona Project was known as the water users. That's who they were. They were developers. And their decision to cut down all the cottonwood trees along the waterways in the system, the canals, the ditches, etc. And the result of that was that things got hotter. There was no wildlife habitat left along those waterways. And the reason they cut down the cottonwood trees, which was to keep the trees from drinking the water, really caused tremendous evaporation. These were not scientists. These were just people like the folks over in the San Francisco Gila group that you're considering turning this project over to. And so that was a really bad decision made from ignorance. Their intentions were good, but they did a lot of harm. And that was their legacy in that time. And people remember it to this day. I hope and plead with you to not make the same mistake. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you, commissioners, panels on the sides. My name is Brett Myrick, and I'm also here to speak about the Pipeline Diversion Project, Arizona Water Settlements Act. But I won't go into a long dialogue about facts and figures. I'll keep it very simple. At a previous meeting with the New Mexico Interstate Stream Commission, Bureau of Reclamation, they stated that they're basing all of their study on the flows of the Gila River in 1968. We're a long ways from 1968. I spent a lot of time in this river. I've worked in the river with the United States Forest Service. I understand the river, I understand the flows with cubic feet per second, and the bottom line here is this river does not produce enough water to justify this project. And online, it's possible to look at the gauging station that's just up from the confluence of Mogollon Creek and the Gila River. Every single day for the past 80 years, it is logged how much flow has been in that river. And there are many years where there is not enough flow to draw any water through any kind of a diversion project. So that's all out there, it's public, everybody can look at that. So there's just not enough flow in that river for this project to be viable and the cost in taxpayers' dollars. So thank you very much, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Any further public input? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Before we go into minutes, I wanted to introduce, so we have our senator here today. Senator Morales, you want to wave at the crowd, say hi? And we also have our mayor, Mike Moronis, in the back there. I actually like it when you guys are doing the talking today. Oh, Lupe Cano in the back too. I missed you, Lupe. I'm sorry. I would prefer you guys to do the talking today. I had some dental work done this last week, and my talking's not going to be as good as normal. So we'll move into minutes. Approve or disapprove September 11th, 2014 regular meeting minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the September 11th, 2014 regular meeting minutes.
I'll second that. Motion is second to approve September 11th, 2014 regular meeting minutes. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Financial reports. Linda, do you want to go through the financial expenditure report real quick for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. This expenditure report includes AP checks, beginning with check number 171732 and ending with check 172130 for a total of $1,353,958.39. And included in these checks are a check to the safety net care pool payment, which was from January through June of 2014, in the amount of $204,269. There's another check to the safety net care pool payment for the first quarter of fiscal year 2015 in the amount of $26,008. There's also a check to Mira Loma Construction for the exhibit building at the fairgrounds in the amount of $73,762.27. There's a check to Engineers Incorporated for the Colonias project, which is the North Hurley Road and Drainage project, for $27,801. And there's also a check to New Mexico General Services Department for the unemployment insurance in the amount of $50,177.57. The rest of the checks included in this report are your normal operating expenses and benefits. And there's also payroll periods included from September 14th through October 11th, 2014. The total payroll for that period is $419,242.78. So with the two AP and the payroll combined, it's for a total of $1,773,201.17.
Thank you very much, Linda. Commissioners, are there any questions on the expenditure report?
I have none. I'd like to make a motion at this time to approve the financial report for October the 6th, 2014 expenditure report.
Motion is second to approve October 6th, 2014 expenditure report. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Linda, can you go over the cash flow analysis for the period ending 8/31/2014?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The cash balance at 7/1/2014 was $2,353,440. Excuse me, this is for the general fund. Revenues to date are through August 31st were $331,071, with operating expenditures of $568,062 and salaries and benefits of $920,158. So the actual cash balance at August 31st was $1,196,291, with projected transfers in of $614,683, projected transfers out $2,691,874, projected revenues $11,361,859, projected operating expenditures of $2,365,151, and projected salaries and benefits $5,594,840, with a projected cash balance at June 30, 2015 of $2,520,969, leaving us a projected surplus at $158,916. In the road fund, the cash balance on July 1, 2014 was $120,460, with revenues through August 30th of $110,596. Operating expenditures through August 30th was $115,964.11. Salaries and benefits year-to-date was $102,249, with an actual cash balance at the end of August 30th of $12,842. The projections through June 30, 2015 for transfers in is $666,432. Projected revenues of $892,823. Projected operating expenditures $238,046. And projected salaries and benefits of $1,195,950, with a projected cash balance at June 30, 2015 of $138,101, with a surplus at June 30, 2015 projected of $417. In the corrections fund, the actual cash balance on July 1, 2014 was $26,163. Revenues through August 30th was $173,010. Operating expenditures of $95,539. Salaries and benefits of $309,700, leaving an actual cash balance on August 30th of a negative $206,066, with a projected transfers in through June 30, 2015 is $1,670,263. Projected revenues of $786,490. Projected operating expenditures of $553,321. And projected salaries and benefits of $1,697,366, leaving us with a projected cash balance of $0.
Okay. Any questions for Linda on the cash flow analysis? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the cash flow analysis for period ending 8/31/2014.
Second.
A motion is second to approve the cash flow analysis for the period ending 8/31/2014. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. New business. This is approve or disapprove the proclamation declaring October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Before I ask Denise to read it, the city has already, or the town has already passed their proclamation, Mayor, is that correct? Yes. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Denise, can you read that for me today?
Okay. Proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2014. Whereas home should be a place of warmth, unconditional love, safety, and peace, tragically for many Americans, these are blessings that are tarnished by violence and fear. Domestic violence touches the lives of Americans of all ages. leaving a devastating impact on women, men, and children of every background and circumstance. A family's home becomes a place of fear, hopelessness, and desperation when a woman is battered by her partner. A child witnesses the abuse of a loved one. A senior is victimized by a family member. And whereas the 1994 passage of the landmark Violence Against Women's Act campaign by then Senator Joe Biden, our nation has strengthened its response to this crime and increased services of victims. We must continue our efforts to prevent and respond to domestic violence as we mourn those who have died because of domestic violence, support those who have survived, and connect those who work to end violence at the local, state, and national levels. And whereas domestic violence remains a major public health, social justice, and human rights issue requiring particular attention, and its intervention must be with the inclusion of both women and men at all levels. There is an urgency need more than ever to get involved. The wide prevalence of domestic violence and sexual assault, along with the shocking silence and inaction around these issues, compels all of us to come together and get involved to end the abusive violence in our relationships, in our families, and in our communities. Let us consider the following. 95% of victims of domestic violence are women. Nationally, 4 million women a year are assaulted by their partners. Every day, at least 4 women are murdered by boyfriends or husbands, and in New Mexico, 1 in 4 adults will be victims of intimate partner domestic violence in their lifetime. And 1 in 3 female teenagers in a dating relationship has feared for her physical safety, and 1 in 5 teenagers are in a serious relationship reports having been hit, slapped, or pushed by a partner. And the severity of violence among intimate partners has been shown to be greater in the cases where the pattern of violence has been established in adolescence. And 1 in 3 women and 1 in 7 men report being a victim of domestic violence. 60% of Americans 15 years of age or older now a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault. Among the 70% of women who have experienced domestic violence and told someone about it, more than half said that no one helped them. 3 out of 4 parents with children under the age of 18 said that they have not had a conversation about violence in the home. 3/4 of Americans say that they would step in and if they saw a stranger being abused, 3/4 of Americans say they would step in and help if they saw a stranger being abused. But almost 2/3 of Americans aged 15 or older say if we talk more about domestic violence and sexual assault, it would make it easier to help someone. Whereas since 1983, El Refugio has been actively involved in addressing domestic violence in our community. El Refugio has collaborated with numerous people and groups to respond, educate, and bring awareness to all people about domestic violence. Last year, El Refugio served 267 women victims, 115 children, and 67 offenders. To this end, El Refugio invites all of us to support October 2014 Domestic Violence Awareness Month that will be dedicated to the No More Public Service Announcement campaign. Together we can end domestic violence and sexual assault. This campaign underscores the urgent need for involvement to take action, speaking out, breaking our silence, and seeking help when we see the problem in our life, in our family, in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Grant County Board of Commissioners, hereby proclaim month of October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge all the citizens to observe this month by becoming aware of the tragedy of domestic violence, support those who are working toward its end, and make personal commitment to get involved with the No More campaign and violence against domestic violence.
Thank you very much. Maria, you want to come up and say a few things?
Thank you very much. Maria Dominguez, the proud president of the Board of Directors for Refugio Incorporated. We also have with us Raul Villanueva, our sheriff, is also on the board, and I know Kevin Flam is here, as is our interim director, Rachel. You said that, Rachel? Carrion. We did have our kickoff last Friday at the Women's Center to raise the awareness for domestic violence. While many of us do not want to believe that it's out there, it is out there. We want to thank Grand County Commissioners for your continued support. We couldn't do it without you. And as many of us are aware, many of us have been at some point in our lives affected by domestic violence. It is an ugly monster that together we can all work towards making sure that it goes away. By reporting it, by embracing someone that is going through it, a kind word really makes a difference. And please get the word out that El Refugio is there. We're 24/7 operation. And we desperately need everyone's support. Our funding is not where it should be, but I know that we have faith, and we know that you are in a position to make a difference for us. So we thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you, community, and please report domestic violence. Thank you.
So Maria, if you and Rachel will hold on just a second, we'll present you with this proclamation as soon as we vote on it, okay? So I'll take a motion at this time.
Chair, I'd like to approve the proclamation declaring October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And may I say, it is so important for every member of this community to be aware of what's going on in your community, particularly this. It impacts us all. So thank you.
And I proudly second, thank you very much for what you do, Ms. Gavion, Ms. Dominguez, and the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, there's a motion and proper second to approve the proclamation declaring October 2014 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. And we'll present this with you, and I'm going to invite the senator to come up and have a picture with us, too. Okay, approve or disapprove a letter of recommendation for essential air services for the Silver City, New Mexico, Grant County area. Today we're going to start off with, I think the Senator has something to say about essential air service. You want to start, Senator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members of the Commission, elected officials, for this opportunity to be able to discuss the essential air services that we've been dealing with for the last couple of months. I want to thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the work that you've done as well on this and being a spokesman for our local community, as well as Abby for sitting in early on in the discussions that took place. But before I elaborate more on the essential air services, I want to recognize Commissioner Ron Hall, as we just went through and had the discussion on domestic violence and the support that we have here. I see you as such a founder of the support services that we have here, and I think that it's benefited so many families throughout our community. So many in the audience, especially the young students who are here with us, I want to make sure that they're aware that the vision you had years ago was instrumental in having what we have today. So thank you. I want to thank all of our local governments who came in place with the discussions of the essential flight services, because the reality of it is we would not be having any of this discussion today had they not come together early on and had the discussion, along with our Council of Governments Executive Director, Priscilla Luceto, who brought everyone together to have the opportunity to begin dialogue with this. The reason we may not be having this discussion had we not come together was because we would have not had any proposals. The deadline was approaching and no one had indicated that they were interested in serving our community with the essential flight services. With the discussion that took place, we were able to elaborate on what things were working for us, what were not working for us, what would be the required destination, whether it was going to be a certain hub, or were we going to have options to go to several hubs. Those are the discussions that took place, and it couldn't have happened again without your leadership, Mr. Chairman, the mayors of our community. And for me, coming in, not having necessarily a role in the local government side, but having a stake in the community aspect of it, it was important that we have this available for all of our constituents. What I look for is, I wanted to make sure first and foremost was safety. That we wanted to have reliability, availability, and affordability within our flight services. As we reached out and had discussions with many of the providers, we now see that many of them are trying to do what they can to come in and provide these services for us. They're competing with each other to provide the best possible service that we can benefit, whether it's an emergency that happens that needs to have family members be with their loved ones, or whether it's meetings that may take place in certain parts of the area. This service is available and it's subsidized by the federal government, and we want to make sure that it is going to make sure that we have the best possible service available. As I said, that safety is most important, and on the presentations that were given to each of us, I know that we have had discussions and concerns with the different type of flights that are available. The big discussion that you'll probably hear with people and their opinions today will be the destination that we go. I want to make sure that we understand that whether it is a flight to Phoenix or a flight to Albuquerque, that it is something that our constituents are not going to be stranded, that they're going to have the opportunity to fly to where the required destination is and to be able to come back at a price that they can afford. And I think that this has been the possibilities of the discussions that we've seen, and that we fortunately will be able to provide our recommendation. While I personally would like to see the flights return back to Albuquerque, I'm hopeful that they could be a win-win situation for everybody, and as one of the presentations actually gave, that they'd be open to discussion for flights to Albuquerque as well as flights to Phoenix. Most importantly is we have these services that do take place, that we want to thank you, commissioners, and again, our local governments, for having this an open process. To have the discussions take place where there can be community input and dialogue, because I'm not so sure that actually took place whenever the decision was made to have it go to Phoenix. I think that it served a purpose there, and I'm hopeful that it will work out long run, that both destinations will be served. But most importantly is I want to make sure that the community is aware that we have the options and the possibility to have discussions with people that have provided the request to serve us because of us coming together as a community. And whatever direction that the Department of Transportation goes in, I know that I feel comfortable that we've all had a chance, whether it's a constituent, community member, an employee, regardless of which role of walk that you have within our community, you have an opportunity to share your concern and your input to have this process take place. So again, I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. Now, speaking from the hospital end of it, which I'm also here representing as an employee at Gila Regional, we too see the benefits of traveling as one of the destinations, if hopefully we have both, to Albuquerque. The reason is because on the medical community is we currently charter a flight to have medical providers come in from the Albuquerque and Santa Fe regions. When that happens, because the reliability wasn't there with the previous and current provider, there had to be a charter that took place. Most of our business that does take place is dealing within the New Mexico area. We spent on average about $350,000 on the charter service throughout the yearly basis. And what that means is we know that hospitals all across the state and across the nations are having to find ways to be more efficient with their costs and with their investments. This is one area that would really help to reduce the cost significantly and raise the amount amount of quality care that we're able to have. We're bringing in the physicians that come in and again connect family members with other areas that they may need to if an emergency does take place. So with that, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, just wanted to come in and just above all, just wanted to thank everyone for coming together and providing this discussion, which I believe will be something that will benefit all residents of Grant County. Thank you.
I'm just going to give a brief overview of what we've done so far to come to this point. Is the Senator indicated earlier that originally we were getting no proposals whatsoever, so the mayors and myself and other commissioners and some managers got together, and we actually had Priscilla Lucero from the COG, Council of Governments, start calling these people and saying, we would like to have a proposal from you. We didn't tell them where to go. We didn't tell them what times to run. We just wanted a proposal because we weren't getting any. So we ended up with 4 proposals, and we had meetings where we listened to them give us their spiel on why we should choose them, and their safety record, where they were going to go, how many flights they were going to run, what kind of equipment they were going to fly, how many pilots they had, how many engines they had, how many seats. We went through pretty much everything. Abby went through some of the first ones, and Charlene went through some of the last ones. After we were said and done with that, Charlene actually called some airports, or had people call airports that and try to get some recommendations from people that already had these airlines in there. And so I think that is where the proposal has been based on, is how that's come about. So without any further ado, does anybody else have anything to say about EAS? Please come forward, sir, and state your name for the record, whichever one you'd like to be.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Mitchell Hellman. I'm a business owner here in Silver City. Now, I imagine you're going to be hearing from a number of different people with their suggestions as to how you might want to choose which of the 4 organizations, which one of those 4 you want Silver City to recommend to the federal government. I'm going to make it a little easier on you. Instead of giving you a specific recommendation, I'm going to tell you who you shouldn't choose.
I like that.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things here that you might be interested in knowing. You know, it's amazing what you can find on the internet when you're not looking at pictures of, funny pictures of cats. One of the things I turned up is one of these 4 currently receives over $58 million in government subsidy from the EAS program, far and away the biggest consumer of EAS funds in the entire country. Yet also, interestingly enough, that particular airline also has absolutely, by far, the lowest first-year salaries for pilots. Their current salary for a pilot in the first year is $14,616. I don't know about you, but I'm not in a big hurry to entrust my life and safety in the hands of a pilot who makes less than somebody in this town makes driving a school bus. It's just kind of a shame. Also, as we all know, there's been some discussion as to whether or not we want our air service to run from Silver City to Phoenix or Silver City to Albuquerque, or both. It's my belief that this particular carrier is not going to want to make the run from Silver City to Albuquerque. At one time, they used to have a hub in Albuquerque. Now they have no flights going to Albuquerque at all. And I doubt that they're going to be willing to go to the expense and hassle of buying and maintaining a gate in Albuquerque just for us. It's going to be roughly the equivalent of slicing up an entire rhinoceros for a single sandwich. It's not going to happen. So those are my particular reasons, in short, as to why you will probably want to consider not putting these people in contention. 42% of this company's total revenues come from the EAS. And as you may know, in 2011, Congress was really trying to cancel the EAS service, most notably due to efforts by Arizona Senator John McCain, who has been quoted as saying, to put it bluntly, the essential air service is not essential. Well, he's probably right if he's just considering this one carrier that is getting by far the lion's share of the EAS money. The finest example of corporate welfare I've seen in quite some time. So that's my particular opinion. I would take any one of the other three. However, I do have one other suggestion to this group, which is that when you make your recommendation to the federal government, ask them that, if possible, if whoever the provider is unable to get a flight out of Silver City on a particular day, that they have in place an agreement with a shuttle service that can go ahead and actually drive people to Albuquerque if needed. Because that situation happened to my parents a number of years ago. They were scheduled to leave on Great Lakes from here to Albuquerque so that they could catch a flight to Baltimore the next morning. Great Lakes canceled abruptly. Apparently their plane was stuck in Amarillo. Hadn't even gone to Albuquerque yet before they made the cancellation. And I was lucky enough to find somebody here in town who was willing to drive them up to Albuquerque the same day and stay overnight in order for them to be able to make their flight. This is just one example of what these people consider to be customer service. And in case you haven't figured out by now, who I'm talking about is Great Lakes Air. That's pretty much my opinion. As a matter of fact, in one of these articles that I've read here, some people refer to them not so much as Great Lakes, but Great Mistakes. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, further input on this? Dr. Martinez?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hello to Commissioner Hall, Commissioner Ramos, all the staff members, those who are in other capacities here in the county. Good to see you, and all the fine folks. This is a change, isn't it, from the last time, at least I was here before the city, and there were two of us. It's almost like a classroom experience for me at the moment, again, and I love it. This is what we need to see every time. I'm already on record, and by the way, I'm Art Martinez to almost everyone. Art Martinez, and I am a retired university professor that you might have suspected already. 30 years into that. And I became an activist in Grant County 2 weeks after I arrived here to enter my job, over 40 years ago. Very good to be here, as always. I am here on behalf, this time, of the Committee to Promote Democracy for the Common Folks. La gente, as many of you might say. Everyone. One of the things that we have discovered through a couple of organizations I belong to is that a very large majority of feedback that our organizations have received from local folks reflects the following preferences, with particular reference, of course, to sending that letter, contracting with, if you want, for essential air services. Essential air services for our county and all the municipalities. We don't want to ever leave anyone out. All the municipalities We're all in this together, as we are so often. All together. That's why we felt it important to get up here and speak. I say our groups of the public, the folks. Many of the folks with whom we have discussed this in various venues, as you can imagine. This is a small county. You see half the people who live here in Walmart every day if you stand there for 2 hours. The folks in Grant County want the traditional method that all of us have brought together for our community to start with. And not what someone later decided, well, you know, we need our headquarters is in Phoenix, you know, we need to be able to have access, and maybe we can get up front here in the line or something like that. And it was changed, as has already been mentioned, and we do not like that. We don't want that. The folks, I'm saying, many of them who we know and meet with and so forth, do not want for that change that was made by whomever, kind of secretly, I suppose. And so we need to get back to what are the traditions here with reference to air service for Grant County, New Mexico, and the public, the general public. We're also hopeful that we shall be able to arrive at a new decision, new consensus of sorts. Been working at it for a couple of years. I'm on record a month and a half ago as having gone before the town council and informed them basically of where I'm going now. This is for our people in the county, as it should be. But we're hopeful that we'll be able to do that before this deadline of October the 10th, 2014. And I know the letters will be going out to the DOT or whomever it is in that alphabetical soup of the national government. We appreciate what they do sometimes in any case. But we would like for it to bring about some unity among most of the political and public sectors that exist in Grant County, and not maybe just one or two, you know, because they're so important and so forth. I mean, we have the veterans, we have the educational system, we have the medical system, we have the corporate system, and so on and so forth. We have the public of Grant County, for golly's sake. And we hope that this would result in our ability and good common sense and so forth to enter into an eventual, because we know this happens somewhere else after the letters arrive, but you will have listened to us and paid good attention to us, the attention that you should give to us. That this will bring about, and it will result in our ability to enter into a contractual arrangement for airline services for Grant County, and I do not believe we could do very well without them, these services. We must have them, we've got to have them, and so yes, let's go for it. We're just giving input into where and how we think it ought to go. We believe, and I'm glad that Great Lakes isn't on here. Not here. And we decided that also very early, that we didn't want them involved in flying us many places at all. What we have seen here is that there are two that stand out relatively well for us. None of them are perfect. None of them are perfect, and they have their ups and downs, they have their pros, they have their cons. We know that as well as you do. And you've studied it a lot more than we have, but for us, we believe that we would do well with either boutique airline or Mokulele. We purposefully did not place Great Lakes on here. Our organizations, in the plural, are convinced that one of these two rather fine airlines, these operations, will provide us, they will provide us, one or the other, the safest, the most capable, as we have analyzed this carefully, the most capable and the most reliable. And I'm emphasizing safety too, Senator, and reliability and other things that we don't have time for, but we understand the expressions that have already taken place and appreciate them. But these air services for our folks, for nuestra gente, para todos, everybody, as we said at the start. And we decided, yes, go ahead and make this expression at the last. Maybe it'll hang strongly and effectively and positively with the commissioners and others. One thing we must not do, we must not fail to place or meet the essential needs of our general public first and foremost. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez.
Come on. Okay, is there any other input on EAS? If we can be a little briefer, it'd be great.
Statement. I will be brief with my comments. My name is Vicki Johnson. I'm the founder of Firstborn, a statewide home visitation service in New Mexico. Chairman and members of the Commission, thank you for giving us this opportunity, and I have 5 reasons why I want you to reinstate essential air service between Grant County and Albuquerque. So I'm speaking on the destination side of this formula. Without air service to Albuquerque, we are distanced from essential specialty medical services. Driving to Albuquerque is a significant and costly burden to medical fragile patients. Without air service to Albuquerque, meeting face-to-face with our elected state officials is a challenge. We are isolated from our New Mexico seat of government and are without a strong political voice. Without air service to Albuquerque, many of us have had to reduce or eliminate our business contracts that occur in northern New Mexico. This is an economic burden for an already isolated community. For many citizens, driving to Albuquerque is simply not an option, especially during inclement weather. And finally, HMS has developed a rural primary care family practice residency training program associated with the University of New Mexico Medical School. The lack of air service between Silver City and Albuquerque has made travel for necessary medical faculty problematic. So thank you, and I hope you will consider reinstating service to Albuquerque.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission, elected officials. My name is Susie Trujillo, born and raised in Silver City, Grant County. I'm here to speak and ask you to support the leg, Essential Air Service leg to Albuquerque. Seems like I've been here every time this decision's been made in the audience, speaking on behalf of this particular leg. My family and I have used this service many times before it was discontinued, and would continue to use it again if it were reinstated. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me me to have our essential air service in Arizona in another state. I really believe that it should, for all the reasons stated, it should be put inside our own state and to Albuquerque. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any further public input on this? Mayor, I'd really like to know what you guys have decided.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Mainly, I want to express that an extreme appreciation for your guys' leadership in this arena. We want to definitely have a united front, and we don't want to. And I came here mainly to educate myself on what the public input would have, and ensure that we're united in this case and get a good service provider. A couple things just to articulate a little bit of what I've been hearing. It reflects a lot of what you just heard right here. Is a tremendous amount of people have been articulating that they want to go back to Albuquerque. Though just on the other side, there's still that theory that there's an economic benefit to going to Phoenix. We've been conducting that experiment over the last couple of years, and I would say with dismal results, mainly due to the experience, and not just from Great Lakes, but also from the airport in Phoenix. It's very difficult to get around that Rubik's Cube, and even though we might say, well, it's a bigger hub, we can get around and do more things and reach more places, it really hasn't turned into an economic benefit. Being an accountant, a businessman, I do value economic development, and I do believe that is an essential part of anything, but it really hasn't materialized into meet any of our expectations, and that's an important note. So on the other elements of essential, we need to make sure that we have good governmental ties to Santa Fe and Albuquerque. We need to make sure that we get our medical community up there, and all the different governmental entities and citizens to at least a large hub like Albuquerque, where we can meet most of those needs, and I think provide a better experience. That would be the gist of what I want to convey, and like I said, what we've been mirrored from Senator Morales on through the rest of the speakers, that does reflect all the other information I've had, and like I said, I appreciate your leadership, Councilor Abby Robinson's help on this issue, and we just want to make a united front and hopefully get the best service we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Would anybody else like to talk about the essential air service today? Okay. Then I'm going to turn it over to Charlene, the county manager, to talk about some of the phone calls she had made and such.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we made several phone calls between myself and Justin Reese, the airport manager, trying to do a little research on each of the proposals. The obvious, which was stated here, Great Lakes, absolutely just take them off the list. I did speak in great length with Joe Thomas, the city manager in Clovis, who has also experienced some of the same turmoil as you all have here, and they have recently went with Boutique Air, and he had absolutely nothing but marvelous comments to make from his position as a city manager as to actually traveling with them on a personal basis. Justin also received some negative feedback of all of the remaining firms from other airport managers, and also based on feedback that Priscilla has compiled and sent out to all of you, it would be my recommendation, based on those discussions, that we look very strongly at Boutique Air.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie. Just to let you guys know what this letter is, all it is a recommendation to the Department of Transportation. They don't have to go with our recommendation. The changes that were made in the past, they didn't go with our recommendation. So the the Office of Aviation Analysis may need to get some of your letters if you agree with our decision today. But at this time, I think I'll take a motion to approve a letter of recommendation for Boutique Air,
Mr. Chairman,
Essential Air Services.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve Boutique Air with our letter of recommendation for Essential Air Service for Silver City, New Mexico area.
I would second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve a letter of recommendation for Essential Air Services to be awarded to Boutique Air for the Silver City, Grant County, New Mexico area. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. No clapping? All right. We'll move into item F. This is approve or disapprove a letter regarding Corey Caminos and the dissolution of the 2007 Joint Powers Agreement. This is a joint powers agreement that was approved, like I said, in 2007. It no longer really fits our needs. We're going to go to a contract-based situation. So, Charlene, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a letter that you and I have discussed, and it's not actually notice that we're withdrawing from the JPA. It's that we're thinking about it, and it describes some alternatives that we're really thinking about it. It's a heavy financial burden for the county that we've kept you all up to date on, and I'm sure that our community is probably learning about this as well. So ultimately, it says these are some alternatives we're thinking about. If anyone else would like to step up and operate Corey Caminos, we'd be happy to discuss that. But then ultimately it says if we can't reach a new agreement on how to be able to afford this, then we have to withdraw from the JPA. It's just kind of giving them a heads up that this is where we're headed.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I'd accept a motion.
Sure. Move to approve the letter regarding the Corey Caminos and the dissolution of 2007 Joint Powers Agreement.
Nice second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Just discussion. I think the one paragraph on the second page answers it for me. Corey Caminos has been significantly underfunded for the past several years, and in order to continue operating the Corey Caminos, Grant County was forced to cover the shortfall that since 2010 has reached over $800,000. This shortfall does not include the in-kind cost to Grant County, which we calculate to be over $100,000 for last year. We got to do something.
I'd like to just also make a comment is that, this has been looked at for quite a while now, and I think we are at the end rope. But I also understand from the community that we do need the public transportation. We're going to do everything we can to keep this public transportation here in Grant County. So I want to just go ahead and put the end to some rumors that are out there that we're going to just cut it completely. So I do want to make that comment.
The Joint Powers Agreement doesn't allow us to fix it. So, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passed. Approve or disapprove ratification of submission of fiscal year 2015 fire protection grant application for the Upper Members Volunteer Fire Department.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the ratification of submission of fiscal year 2015 fire protection grant application for the Upper Members Volunteer Fire Department.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second to approve the ratification of submission of fiscal year 2015 fire protection grant application for the Upper Members Volunteer Fire Department. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Contracts and agreement. Approve or disapprove agreement number A1428. This is a joint road maintenance agreement between the Grant County and the Lordsburg Mining Company. You want to go over that real quick, Charlene?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a joint road maintenance agreement between Grant County and the Lordsburg Mining Company for the purpose of establishing terms and conditions where Lordsburg Mining Company may be allowed to perform maintenance on county-maintained roads, Carlisle Road and Summit Peak Road. It just basically lines out that they would be allowed to perform maintenance work in order to continue their mining operations. This was required by BLM to have this agreement in place to allow them. Yes. Earl may have.
Yeah, Earl, you got anything else?
That's about it. Keep those guys in the easement right away and what they can and cannot do on state lands. Or all of those lands. Federal lands, yeah.
Okay. I know that Steve has sent me a memo with regards to their inability to pay their taxes on time. I appreciate that, Steve. However, I don't think that comes into play on this, because if they'll do some of our work, whether they're paying our taxes or not, if it's going to save us money, is that correct, Earl? Because you have to drive all the way. How many miles in Arizona do you have to go through to get to these roads? Because these are the only two I know of that you cannot get to.
Well, we've got to go all the way down to Duncan and come in that way. Yeah, and usually when we go down there, we just put that operator up in a motel for a couple of weeks. It usually takes him a couple of weeks instead of driving back and forth over there. So there's about 25 miles down there that we maintain.
Okay. One thing under paragraph 4, I like that part where it says that, in fact, they're going to be keeping the county informed as far as their operation and opening and closing of the road. Okay. Communication is important there for the public.
Okay. Can I get a motion?
Chair, make a motion to approve the agreement A1428 Joint Road Maintenance Agreement between Grant County and the Lordsburg Mining Company.
And I second. There's a motion and a second to approve A1428. Any discussion on that motion?
I just want to thank the treasurer for the heads up. I think we need to do everything we can to collect our taxes the best we can. I don't know how this company is doing or how it fares, but we do need to collect our taxes just like everyone else.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove agreement number A1429. Project agreement between Grant County and the State of New Mexico Department of Transportation Aviation Division for runway maintenance at the Grant County Airport. Charlene, or do you or Randy want to go over that?
I'm sorry. Sure, you can, if you have the information, if you have any questions, I can help you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a project agreement for runway improvements to the Grant County Airport. As a result of a recent inspection, we've been notified that we will need to make improvements to the main runway. Justin has contacted the state. They are able to fund $150,000. The county will match with $50,000 for a total of $200,000 to resurface, or seal, let me clarify that, to seal the main runway and then restripe it. This has to be completed prior to June. And we're also in somewhat of a time crunch, as he has a small time window as far as being able to do any type of asphalt or oil type application when the temperature gets too cold. So this probably needs to be done prior to the end of October. Justin's received approval from the State Aviation Division to proceed with this. He has his quotes in place, engineering's in place, so upon approval of this agreement, we can move forward with that project.
Thank you very much. You got anything to add, Randy or Justin?
Mr. Justin, I think we got everything lined up.
Randy, Justin, Charlene, please. Those big cracks that are in the runway, is this one involved repairing those? Yeah, because they are terrible. Yeah, good.
That's the main reason we actually had to do this project, was because of due to the cracks. Okay. We did put some cold mix in the meantime to fill some of the cracks, but when the company does come down, they're going to fill them all in and put a slurry seal on top of it with the bending markings.
Take care of those cracks.
Yeah,
good.
Yes, sir.
Any motion? Aye.
Mr. Chairman, make a motion to approve agreement A1429.
My second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agreement A1429. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Thanks, Justin, Randy, Charlene. All right. Approve or disapprove agreement number A1430, a memorandum of understanding between the New Mexico Correction Department and the County of Grant. Charlene, you want to tell me about that one?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is an MOU with the Department of Corrections for a pilot program to provide transportation for sentenced adult inmates in between your local facility and Department of Corrections in Los Lunas. It'll be a pilot program that would run from October through March, to where Department of Corrections would transport inmates to a regional facility. For instance, they would transport to Las Cruces to assist the counties of Otero, Doña Ana, Sierra, Luna, Grant, Hidalgo, and Catron. And the reason for doing this is there's a tremendous burden on local governments transporting state prisoners back and forth when they have to come back for court, or occasionally when Department of Corrections houses a local inmate. So they are trying a pilot program to see if this will work to have a little bit more coordinated transport and getting prisoners to and from in a secure manner, as well as efficiently and on time. And also it would eliminate a lot of burden to detention centers and sheriff's departments across the state. So we would like to try this program out.
Thanks, Charlene. Any questions for Charlene on this?
I just really hope it works, because I think this is a good deal.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve agreement A-14-30, a memorandum of understanding between the New Mexico Corrections Department and the County of Grant.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve A1430. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item K, approve or disapprove an amendment to agreement number A1328, subgrant agreement number EMW-2013-SS-00152-S01 for the New Mexico Department of Homeland Security for $5,000. That's an awfully long number for $5,000. For Grant County per diem. I'm assuming that's for you, Sheriff? No? Okay, go ahead. Oh, it's for Gilbert? Okay.
Commissioners, this would be for our emergency manager, Gilbert Hilton. This will allow for training and meetings that he attends to be reimbursed up to the amount of $5,000 for per diem for his travels.
I make a motion to approve the amendment to agreement A1328 as read by the chair.
My second.
There's a motion and a second to approve agreement A1328. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. At this time, I think we probably ought to take a few-minute break. We've been going on quite a while. So I take a motion for a recess.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, we don't read the resolutions. Would one of y'all volunteer? Call back to order the Board of County Commissioners for the regular meeting of October 7th, 2014. Moving along in the agenda, we're moving to resolutions. The first resolution is item L. Approve or disapprove resolution R1450, supporting the 2015 legislative priorities of the New Mexico Association of Counties. Charlene, did you want to go over those, or did you want me to, or you want me to? Okay. All right, give me a second here. I'll get them on down. Okay. The first first resolution, and we'll vote on all these at the end. The first resolution from the Association of Counties is a resolution supporting the 2015, oh no, that's our resolution, never mind. The first resolution is the Health Care Policy Committee, and that is concerning the Senate Bill 268 last year that forced us to send up 1/12 of our gross receipts, 1/12 of 1% gross receipts tax to the state. And basically it's stating exactly what I've said all along, that if the state is going to force us to fund a state Medicaid program, they should fund it themselves. They shouldn't have counties fund it, rather than us collecting the tax and then sending it to them. Number 2 is these aren't in order.
The Southwest, the Amtrak.
Yeah, is that the one I have? Yeah, Amtrak Southwest Chief, and that's a northern New Mexico issue where the Burlington Northern and Santa Fe crosses through New Mexico up in Raton and comes down to Ramey, Albuquerque, and out through Gallup. They're talking about rerouting that because New Mexico hasn't done their portion of funding the maintenance on the tracks. So we're supporting the state. Go ahead and put a little money into that and keep the Amtrak Southwest Chief coming through New Mexico in the northern part of New Mexico. The next one is the Assessor's Affiliate Resolution. This is a tax roll corrections authority and responsibility. It was just a clarification defining which errors are allowed to be corrected in the tax schedule under the mutual agreement by the assessor and the treasurer. The next one is the Treasurer's Affiliate. The short title is the County Treasurer and its agents of PED for receiving payments on installment agreements. Steve's been talking about this for the last couple of years on being able to take installment payments rather than having to take them all in lump sum. It doesn't make any sense to have to, when somebody brings in some money, we ought to go take it. Detention center funding, the state has cut from the original amount. Most of you may or may not know, when we are housing prisoners that have been found guilty for the state, they give us a little bit of money to house those guys. It was originally $5 million, but it's been pared back down to $3.3 million, and we're asking for that money to be reinstated back up to the $5 million for our detention center when we're actually...
They haven't been good about paying anything.
No, and then they hold it over our head on every single thing. So that's what that one is. And then the Manager's Affiliate, and it's an industrial revenue bond improvement. This is when we're not competitive with Texas when it comes to IRBs, and it's a way for a company to fund a new project when they come into the state. And the East Side is really wanting to change some of the ways that IRBs can be used, because what an IRB is you're able to finance you're able to finance for your company using the governmental entity's bond rating. It doesn't use any taxpayer money. You just are able to finance it using the bond rating. It's only for new projects. Is there another one? No, there's one more. And this one is also from the managers and the commissioners, and it's the Public Land Task Force, where it's involving PILT and the federal lands and such. And the Commissioner's Affiliate also had special management of inmates, that the New Mexico Association of Counties support the legislation that would bring together appropriate entities and agencies to study possibilities of establishment of housing options and service delivery in those, for those inmates. I believe that's it. So at this time, I take a motion to approve Grant County Resolution R-1450.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve Resolution R-14-50 as presented.
Second. Is there any there's a proper motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Item M, approve or disapprove a resolution opposing the expansion of federal control under the Clean Water Act. Do you want to go over that one?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a resolution that several counties have passed, as well as NACO is encouraging counties to support the waters of the National Association of Counties, I apologize. The waters of the U.S., what that will do, it will increase the federal jurisdiction over local authorities, and it proposes to implement a very tedious permitting system that could cause additional expense to projects on a local level, delays. It goes as far as to tell local county governments what they can do with a drainage ditch on a county road. And Anthony has prepared some comments to go along with this resolution opposing expansion of federal control under the Clean Water Act. Do you have any comments?
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. My comments are solely on the requirements that we currently face with the Army Corps of Engineers in the permitting process. The waters of the United States redefinition would actually expand the definition of tributaries. Although the act itself does claim that it will make everything a little bit more simple, it will identify the jurisdictional waters and non-jurisdictional waters. It does leave open a term which is disturbing as called other waters. And although they claim these other waters as non-jurisdictional, the expansion of the definition of tributaries would virtually make virtually all of the waters jurisdictional. So while they're trying to simplify the process, for lack of a better terms, I think they're muddying up the water. So it's evident that all of our routine maintenance is to remove the water from the infrastructure and place it into a natural drainage. With these rule changes, potentially that could be a violation of the Clean Waters Act. So I think that this explains our position as far as our routine maintenance, our special projects. As far as I know, all of the process by which we do with the Army Corps right now, I think it's a working process. And so they establish jurisdiction when they need to. They do the permitting process. Once the permitting process starts, then it actually engages all other entities, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, the New Mexico Environment Department, and so it really makes the whole process it's just a long process. And so all those are in my comments right there. And unless you have any questions, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
Questions for Anthony?
Chair.
Yes, sir.
Make a motion to approve Resolution R-1451 opposing expansion of federal control under the Clean Water Act.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve R-1451. Is there any discussion? Mr. Allison wants to say something.
I'd like to make some quick comment on this. Allison Civic, Gila Conservation Coalition, and the Gila Resources Information Project. I'm not sure how much people know that the New Mexico Environment Department actually was one of the state environmental agencies, actually one very early on, that petitioned the EPA to actually clarify this part of the Clean Water Act, because this is something that's plagued the state of New Mexico in terms of arroyos and other ephemeral streams that are contributing to pollutant loadings in major waterways, and then there's been lots of sort of conflict over like which, as Anthony said, in terms of what waterways are jurisdictional, which ones are not. So the Environment Department, New Mexico Environment Department, and other state environmental agencies that have issues such as this have actually asked EPA to clarify this rule. The whole intent is to streamline the process, make things easier, not more difficult. Ditches are not jurisdictional under this new rule. So I would suggest perhaps taking a closer look at the Clean Water Act, talking to the Environment Department. Again, this was something that our state Environment Department asked for because it was going to make things easier for them and make things much easier for the regulated community. So I hope perhaps you do that before you vote to approve this resolution. Thank you.
Actually, yes. I mean, this is another perfect example of state government not coming to local government and so on to try and figure this out before it gets to this point. So just want to make that comment.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Approve or disapprove Resolution R-1452, a resolution amending the approved and adopted budget for the fiscal year commencing July 1st, 2014, and for county purposes in the County of Grant, Silver City, New Mexico, transferring and appropriating funds. Charlene?
When did I do this?
Okay.
This resolution includes cash transfers from the general fund in the amount of $164,330. $100,000 of that, which will go into the vehicle replacement program to purchase 2 units for the sheriff's office. $1,000 into an airfield maintenance grant, which is our matching portion of the grant, and our matching portion of the grant of $33,330 for the Colonias North Hurley Road and Drainage Project, and $30,000 matching funds for the airport runway maintenance agreement. And we also have budget transfers from the Commissioner's operating expense in the amount of $75,000, from the Commissioner's contractual services, $63,330, from the manager's full-time salaries, $20,000, manager's group insurance, $5,000, which will go into the vehicle replacement program, $100,000, $33,330 to the planning and design for the Colonias North Hurley Road and Drainage Project, and $30,000 into the match funds line item for the airport runway grant. We will also be increasing revenue for a total of $678,355. $9,000 will be for the airport airfield maintenance grant, $69,385 for a 2014 restorative justice grant, $300,000 for the sheriff's office vault construction, and $299,970 for the Colonias North Hurley Road Drainage Project. We will also be increasing expenditures in a total amount of $842,093. $10,000 of that is for the ground maintenance line item for the airport maintenance grant, $69,385 for the Restorative Justice Grant, $162,738 in capital outlay for the Tyrone Fire Department to purchase a fire truck, and $300,000 into the Colonia Smeltery Road Drainage Project for construction and rehab. And there's also $299,970 for planning and design line item for the Colonia Smeltery Road and Drainage Project. Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve or disapprove Resolution R-1452?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion we approve Resolution R-14-52.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve R-1452. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay, this is approve or disapprove Resolution R-1453, a resolution for the payment in lieu of taxes program. Charlene?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is a resolution to request that Congress provide full funding for PILT in fiscal year 2015. As you all are well aware, it's been partially funded or not funded, or it's been thrown in a miscellaneous bill over the last few years. This is once again to request that they fully fund PILT. Well, that's pretty much it. Just fully fund the PILT program for 2015, and this will all be sent to our congressional delegation along with a letter requesting their support.
I think it's sustainable long-term approach. What you missed it. So,
Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution R-1453 as described by Manager Webb.
And I second.
There's a motion and a second to approve R-1453. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item P, approve or disapprove Resolution R-1454, authorizing the issuance and sale of Grant County, New Mexico General Obligation Refunding Bonds, Series 2014. The aggregate principal amount is not to exceed $4.2 million for the purpose of refunding all the county's outstanding general obligation bonds, Series 2005, providing for the payment of the bonds from the property taxes pledged therefore, providing for the form, execution, and other details concerning the bonds, the funds appertaining thereto, providing to the payment of the costs of issuance of the bonds, approving disclosure and other documents related to the bonds, and ratifying action previously taken in connection therewith. Do you want to go into that? I'm tired of talking.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, what this resolution does is it authorizes refunding bonds not to exceed, as the title says, $4.2 million. These are outstanding GO bonds issued in 2005. They would pay off in 2025. Refunding bonds is a little different than issuing bonds. Issuing bonds requires an ordinance. When you refund bonds, it only requires a resolution. What this resolution does is it allows the chairman to sign the actual bond purchase agreement when the time is right to refund these bonds. The resolution does not commit the county to move forward with this. If it doesn't make sense and the money's not right, then you don't have to follow through with this, but it does give you the option to do that. The purpose of refunding bonds is for interest rate savings, which goes back to the taxpayers. These were property tax GO bonds. The resolution, as I said, allows the chairman to sign the bond purchase agreement. Therefore, it doesn't have to come back before the entire board due to timing issues. Primarily when the interest rate is at its lowest is when we want to be able to sell those bonds. We'll look at the numbers just briefly if you'd like. On page 3, the table at the top, if you look at the column, says new DS, old DS. That's your proposed, would be the new debt service. The old would be what you currently have. It's towards the back. It's behind the resolution.
Okay.
and I'm on page 3. If you look at the bottom total column at the end on the very right-hand side, you'll see a number of $167,397.73. This is the savings to the property taxpayers over the length of the debt service remaining. So it'd be a cost savings to the taxpayer of $167,000. Just below that, you'll see net present value benefit of $155,191.33. That is the net present value to the county today. If you chose to sell these bonds, it would save the county $155 and some change. The other important part to look at is the net present value benefit. There's a percentage of 3.771%. When I asked why this would be beneficial to do this, the rule of thumb for refunding bonds and the test for refunding is at 3%. So if you are over 3%, then it's wise for you to take a look at refunding your bonds because you will save that much in interest. So to do this today would be a 3.771% net present value benefit. So it's well over the test or rule of thumb. On page...
Those savings are after fees of refunding the bonds.
Yes, they are. And on the first page, when we talk about fees of issuing the bonds, the cost of issuance, Mark has estimated cost of issuance of $75,000. That includes the finance fees, the attorney, bond counsel fees, any publication fees, as well as he included in there bond rating. Because these are private placement, there's not a bond rating that's required. I know that you're interested in looking at doing the bond rating, but that's not required for this transaction. So you could save $15,000 plus your trip to Moody's in Dallas, and that would be an additional cost savings. So you would be looking at a total cost savings to the county of about $170,000 instead of the $155,000 because the bond rating is not necessary. Private placement would be, they're looking at New Mexico Finance Authority or a private placement with a bank. So the bond rating is not necessary to do this. One other thing that you might find it's interesting, I thought, advance refunding is what this is only allowed one time by the IRS for the life of the bonds. So if you have this opportunity to have a cost savings and the interest rates are beneficial, you have one time to be able to do this. That pretty much summarizes what this...
I don't see interest rates going down any further, so if we have an opportunity to return to the taxpayers of Grant County $160-something thousand over the life of the bonds, I think we should.
Sounds good, yeah.
Okay. Can I get a motion on R-1454?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion to approve Resolution R-14-54 as presented.
Second. The motion is second to approve R-1454. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We're just having a hard time today. All right. Approve or disapprove Resolution R-1455, authorizing and approving submission of a completed application for financial assistance and project approval to the New Mexico Finance Authority. Charlene?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is the submission of a completed application on behalf of the Upper Members Volunteer Fire Department for purchase of trucks, which was discussed earlier. They've applied for grant funding and also want to apply for Finance Authority loan to assist with the purchase of those 2 trucks.
And that's all paid for through the fire fund, right?
Yes, through the fire fund as well as the excise fire tax receipt.
Chair, yes. Motion to approve Resolution R-1455 as described.
Okay. Second. There's a motion and a second to approve R-1455. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay, approve or disapprove Resolution R-1456, resolution in support of allocation water connected to the Arizona Water Settlement Act, plus identifying the Gila San Francisco as the cap entity to actually contract the water. Charlene, were you going over that, or was Anthony?
No, I'll let Anthony handle this one.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. This resolution, basically what it does is follow the full intent of the Arizona Water Settlements Act. The intent of the act itself was to replace water that was lost by the adjudication in the 1960s to southwest New Mexico. New Mexico can take up to 14,000 acre feet. We've already heard previously during this meeting, and there is an allocation of up to $128 million. There are, as we all know, there are some questions about how much money is actually going to be allocated. It's depending on interest and all those types of things like that. But I would like to reiterate that, number one, the Section 212 of the Arizona Water Settlements Act does, number one, name the Southwest Water Study Group or successor, which is the Gila San Francisco Water Commission. We've asserted our responsibilities in that the Interstate Stream Commission is, by the act itself, supposed to consult with the Gila San Francisco Water Commission on expenditures related to the New Mexico unit. They had not done that to this point, and we would certainly like for them to do that. The act gives us the authority to consult with the Interstate Stream Commission on their expenditures. Now, that being said, myself and Mark Archuleta gave a presentation on a finance and business plan so that, as Ms. Civic alluded to earlier, not only could all of the alternatives to a diversion project be funded, but also a diversion project alike. The business plan did generate up to $463 million of funds in a 20-year period. I would like to address the fact that in November, I think it's in November, that the Interstate Stream Commission has to make this decision. All the resolution does is simply state what we've already stated. And number one, we want to keep this water that's due to New Mexico in southwest New Mexico. And second, we want to utilize the Gila San Francisco Water Commission, which has 18 entities in the commission, all from recognized local governments or isequias or ditch associations, their members. And although it was questioned earlier about whether or not we had the integrity or the ability to manage these funds, I myself, as planning director for Grant County, have already done projects well over $50 million. So I think that we have very learned individuals on the commission. We've got county managers, we've got mayors, we've got commissioners, we've got people who are directly related to agriculture. So I think that we are definitely poised to become a cap entity and do what is necessary. And that's all I have. Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions, I'm certainly willing to answer them.
Okay, we'll hold questions till after we have public input. I see one change that I think we need to make on the be it further resolved. Is it not true that the Gila San Francisco Water Commission, that Silver City chose to opt out of that?
That's correct. They've been part of the planning process, but they've never joined the JPA into the Gila San Francisco Water Commission. That's correct.
If they're not in the JPA, we probably need to change that last sentence to and it states the Gila San Francisco Water Commission represents every governmental entity. I would move to strike every governmental entity and to add the citizens. Does that work, Abby? Does that work, Charlene?
About participating entities.
You can also just strike it and say commission represents the 4 counties affected by the act.
You want to just strike it?
That wouldn't necessarily state that we're representing Silver City, but it would encompass those 4 counties.
Where do we all work?
The 4 county governmental entities.
Does that sound? Commission represents the 4 counties affected by the act.
Okay. But it also does represent Deming, Lordsburg. So when you say just counties,
You gotta leave that out.
About participating governments.
I think the 4 counties, I think, will cover that one, Mr. Chairman.
I thought the citizens in the 4 counties would.
Actually, the way Commissioner Ramos said it.
Okay. Commission represents the participating governmental, so strike every and insert the participating and make entities plural. So I move to amend as such. Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes on the amendment. Okay, so with that being amended, at this time we'll stand for public comment. Please raise your hand. Go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Just push the button. Thank you. And don't get too close to it.
Thank you, Commission Chair. My name is Kim Clark, and I am a 5th-generation Grant Countyan. I would specifically like to support the part of the resolution identifying the Gila San Francisco Commission as the cap entity to contract for the water. Short and sweet. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Allison.
I have these copies. With your permission, I'd like to...
Just give it to Denise.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Go ahead. State your name for the record.
I'm Tasia Clark. I am 3rd generation in this town of my family, and I go to Aldo Leopold High School. I just wanted to start out with the definition of sustainability, and that would be creating a better world for future generations. Now, we have a room full of our future generation here, not wanting this diversion from our Gila River. I mean, generations and generations of our families have been here fighting for this Gila River. And you guys are here to support the town and our people, and to go against us and to go for the diversion that is going against everything you guys are trying to stand for your town. Just wanted to make that point.
Thank you. Further public, and go ahead. State your name for the record, please.
My name is Richard Martin. I'm a recovering Californian.
I thought you were going to say attorney.
No, not that bad. I think there's hope. As an ex-San Diegan in Southern California, I can tell you, literally in my 6 decades of a resident there in San Diego County, I watched them throw hundreds of billions of dollars at water projects. And as you all know from what you get in the media now, we haven't solved any of the water issues in California. I got involved in this issue. I bought in the Burro Mountains here in 2004. Ironically, that was when this water commission was created, I think, in November. And the Water Settlements Act set aside what money is available that I think we can constructively use. But anyway, I caution, I started reading the resolution, and there was just too many say-whats in the whereases, because I had attended 4 of the Interstate Stream Commission dog and pony shows they did here, where they showed us the PowerPoints, and I've gone to 2 of the ISC meetings in Albuquerque, and I've watched those, and to be blunt and quick, I don't think what I saw in the ISC and the commission, that they are responsible parties to execute a billion-dollar project. And I submit to you at this point, and I don't want to misquote, I think they've spent something on the order of $3 million just in organizing their little meetings here and everything else, and they still haven't come up with the real reason why this would be prudent to invest $1 billion to divert a small amount of water from the Gila. The Gila doesn't belong to New Mexico anymore. They already adjudicated the fact that it belongs to Arizona, and so we're not, the whereas I take exception to is that 14,000 acre feet isn't ours. We were set aside 60, now 90 million just in forbearance for us to give up the right to the Gila. And so and also as a new resident here, I agree with the thrust of your resolution where, hey, don't give it to Arizona, they'll waste it, we got to keep it. That's a given. But as I look at it more, I don't see any reason why we should go off a financial cliff that this represents if we let entities start obligating financial, the citizens have to pay for what the entities do. And I worry, who's going to pay for this delta between the 120 million now down to whatever if we divert, and if we fight the environmental battles, that'll probably be another 10 million, 15 million out the window. I worry about having to finance 800 million. And who is going to make out on that other than the people who rent us the money? So I have objections to the resolution, and I hope you guys could modify it. I agree we should say we want the 60, now 90 million to do things like fix the ditches, supply water to Hurley. There's a lot of beneficial things we can do under that without going way overboard for a diversion that is a monumental mistake. I think we'd be making an investment that we would have to, our generations would be attempting to pay, and we're not going to realize no 14,000, 12,000 acre feet of water. It's not going to change our water rights. We still don't have right to that water out of the Gila, unfortunately. I agree we should submit the resolution. We should get what monies we can that can constructively be used to provide water to Hurley, fix the ditches for the primary water right holders in the farming areas that exist, but we got to get off of this pipe dream that somehow if we throw $1 billion at it, that it's going to solve our water issue, because it isn't. Thank you.
Further comment?
Okay, am I close enough but not too close? Okay, I'm Star Belsky. I've been here in Silver City now in Grant County about 11 years. My husband and I own a lot of gelato. We've made it and done a lot of other things. We've made a sizable commitment to this community. And not because we came here to get rich, because it's just the opposite. We love this place, including its contentiousness, because it's not uniform. But I have a couple comments to make about the resolution AWSA, and at the end I have a question for you, Anthony. First of all, has anybody here read the economic part of the final draft, the final proposal that went to the ISC?
If you have comments to make, ma'am, you can make them.
All right, I'll make
but it's not question and answer time.
All right, fine. I have, twice. I have a background as an economics editor with the Brookings Institution for a long time. So I have a pretty good idea of what I'm reading. The values are pushing $1 billion. I suggest if you look at nothing else, gentlemen and ladies, and anybody else in that draft report, you look at that last section by Stephen Piper, who has no axe to grind by giving us bad news. If anything, I know as a federal regulator, because I'm a former state regulator, you're under tremendous pressure to give the answers that the most powerful players, whoever they are, want. And yet, there is a lot of bad news in that report. There are not only the interest issues on money loaned, there are costs for indemnification, and there are the increasing costs for the water itself. So first, I just want to mention that. There is one study out, I'm assuming it's correct, but I could be wrong, that points to the fact that if this goes through, we are looking at the potential to, either for regional water users, which people in all 4 counties will be the citizens that the professor mentioned way back, could triple or quadruple. Oh, you're going to get water conservation in for sure. You know who it will hit the hardest? The same people who always get hit the hardest. The low income, which we have lots of here in this county, and people on fixed incomes, which we also have a lot of here in this county and not just in this county. I know that's not your intent, but I really think that is a risk we're encountering with the major diversion project. Next, there is a comment in the resolution that says the water available from the Water Arizona Settlement Act will help meet current and future needs. This is highly disputed. We certainly won't have access to 14,000 acre feet under the best circumstances. If I'm not mistaken, 2,000 acre feet right off the bat would go to the more northerly extent of that. Am I right about that?
Closer to 4, I think.
Okay. You're going to have evaporative loss, and of course we all know that the water regime is becoming continuously erratic. Whether you like him or not, Norm Gallum got a hold of data from the ISC that the ISC wouldn't release. And he's got, as a water manager himself, as an engineer, he's got a lot to say about what will really be available to us, for us to use. So the less water that's available for us to use, but for increasing costs for that project, that cost of that water is going to go up and up and up. I've heard people say, and I understand the thinking behind it, well, how much is water worth when you don't have any? That's a good question, and I think that can be addressed by policy and conservation. We have a water crisis in the Southwest because we had an explosion in population throughout the Southwest region in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. I watched it. And those were the good times when water was abundant. We can't continue to grow forever. We need a new paradigm. And those models don't have to be led from the top down. They can be led from the grassroots up. How do you plan for growth in this area? How much growth can we really sustain? What is an economic model that is not going to be totally dependent on growth and is not going to be heavily dependent on water? And what things can be implemented to have people conserve water without excess pain in the pocketbook? My one last thing I want to say, and so I think you know where I'm coming from here, gentlemen. Remember, you will be remembered well, each one of you, for the sequelae, as we say in the medical business, of this decision. I don't think any of you intends to harm the Gila or really intends to, pardon my French, screw anybody. I'm not accusing you of that. But I think maybe a different perspective here is needed. The stakes are extremely high. Because the other alternative, of course, is if we don't pay for it as the users here, it gets distributed as a tax burden on everybody else in New Mexico as well. And boy, they're going to love us for that. Okay, last thing. I do ask that, Mr. Gutierrez, you met with Mark Valenzuela from George K. Baum, which is a banking investment firm out of Kansas City, Missouri, correct? And that was with the understanding of addressing the shortfall between the maximum, which we may not get, of the funds, even if the diversion is approved, because there are other proposals out there. The maximum money we could get from the federal government versus the potential $800 million to beyond that even possibly, $1 billion cost. I think if you are asking to be empowered to administer this, and certainly if it does go through, I'd rather have local input. I have no argument with that if that happens. What were the suggestions that the Baum representative made to address the financial shortfall. Thank you for this time, gentlemen. Take part.
Please state your name for the record.
My name is Austin Heinz, and I am a junior at Aldo Leopold High School. I stand before you, ladies and gentlemen, today not wanting to hide behind subjective and personal reasoning, but I feel that I must. It would be a disservice to their memory and indeed a moral crime by my part, not to mention Ella Kirk, Ella Myers, and Michael Mall before you. These three eco-monitors, as I am myself, died in May. They died in a plane crash, and it was a terrible travesty that happened to our school and to the entire community around us. However, I will not say that they died protecting the Gila. Indeed, I will not say that they died for anything. It was just an accident. But I know that if they were alive, they would be the first people up here fighting for the Gila to be free. And as will I. I also stand before you not having written down anything I plan to say, so I'm hoping it comes to me as it goes along.
I do that sometimes myself.
I'm glad I'm not alone. The Gila means so much to so many people in this room, and as my dear friend Tasia Clark has already said, the majority, if not the entirety of youth in this room, would agree with me in saying that the Gila should run free. Also, there is the fact that if the Gila is indeed diverted, it might be for naught. See, there have been around 50 dams around the U.S. last year in 2013 that have been torn down. And if the Gila was diverted, it could most likely follow the same fate, causing too many dollars in collateral damage and not enough jobs created to really justify it. Ladies and gentlemen, I do sincerely hope for the future of the generation and for the people still alive today who would like to enjoy the Gila River while it still is, that you make the right decision. Thank you for your time.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I called on him.
My name is Ken Barr, and it's my honor to serve on the Grant County Food Policy Council and the Members Valley Health Action League. I come to you not speaking in that capacity. I come speaking to you in the capacity as a citizen of Grant County. I have been to some conversations in our community recently. There was one in Idris, and there's been one in Silver City recently. And I noticed that there wasn't any mention of this diversion project. There were a lot of things mentioned: transportation issues, food security issues, and health care accidents. There's just no mention of this project. But one thing that was common to all of the conversations was the lack of money to serve these needs. And I see that you're looking at $1 billion diverted from these important issues. Now, I understand that each community within our county has different needs. And We need to look at what the citizens have to say. There are going to be 2 more conversations. These conversations are sponsored by the Grant County Food Policy Council and the Volunteer Center of Grant County. And there will be a conversation today at the Bayer Community Center from 6 to 8, and then again on October 21st from 10 to 12 at the Grant County Fairgrounds. The results will be published so the commissioners can know what the people are thinking. I'm a citizen of this county, and I eschew, I do not support the Gila diversion. My question is, who do you represent? Let's have a conversation with those people. I want to thank the Commission for allowing me to speak. Thank you for listening. I thank the citizens present here for listening. And I thank the Gila River that brings life-giving water to our land. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, elected officials, visitors, my name is Allison Boyd, and I'm a resident of Grant County and Southwest Audubon Secretary. I've attended most all of the presentations held in Grant County by the Interstate Stream Commission staff and made a couple of trips to Albuquerque as well. Despite some rather piss-poor negotiations of New Mexico water rights, the drafters did grant us a gift. That gift is $66 million. Now, we can use it toward a diversion or for a multitude of much-needed water improvement projects. Looking at the total picture, it appears that both Hidalgo and Catron counties have modest requests, and I would anticipate that the ISC will grant some of those projects simply because those counties will not benefit from any diversion. That leaves Grant and Luna charging ahead on their own for the full cost. The cost in 2014 dollars is topping $1 billion, split 2 ways. And a lot is missing from the figure, including environmental remediation. The money issue is all very sketchy, but we know that the price of these projects only double, triple, or quadruple in time. The ISC staff has been scraping together a very poor case for diversion. It risks the ecology of the river and its life forms. The flow will vary from negligible to none. It has developed a plan that will squander the gift of $66 million on required geological reports, ecological data, archaeological studies, condemnations, and lawsuits. The money will be gone before the first bulldozer touches ground. 20 years from now, there will not be a new diversion on the river. There will be no jobs for Grant County citizens created now or in the future, and there is a high probability of financial jeopardy for this county if they follow the path of committing to pay funds they do not and will not have. The mantra of a few is that it's all about the water. I disagree. It's not just about the water, but about the balance of water, money, and especially the health of the Gila River. The only Tier 2 project with an excellent cost-benefit balance is conservation. Let's put the gift of $66 million to work by investing in the future and creating local jobs now. Thank you.
Okay, folks, I'm only going to allow, all right, I see 4 hands, that's all we're going to do, all right? Right there, right there, right there, and right there. That's all we're gonna do. It's enough.
And let's ignore the high educated vocabulary.
I'll try to be brief. My name is James Goodkind. I've lived in Grant County for about 40 years, but I don't think that's important. I think the concerns of people here, whether they've lived here for 3 generations or recently, are really more important than anything else. You've heard a lot of people give a lot of testimony, and I'm not quite sure what I want to add to that without being too repetitious. What I do want to say is that during my time in Grant County, I've seen a lot of economic scams. In fact, this very building that we're in right now, this very room, was a product of cronyism and waste and corruption. Some of you may recall the construction of this building. We're talking about a project that resembles this on a much, much larger scale. And just like the taxpayers of Grant County had to pay for the construction of this building and its subsequent corruption in the process, any diversion project that happens is going to be quite similar. One thing I want to be clear about, this proposed diversion has nothing to do with water, and it has everything to do with a giant construction project. The cost-benefit ratio, let's for now ignore all the testimony, the valid testimony of individuals about the value of the river, of its plants and animals, and its recreation and its beauty. Let's for a moment ignore that completely and look at the cost-benefit ratio. And you've got to ask, would any bank, would any financial institution take on a risk like this with such a totally negative cost-benefit ratio? I mean bad cost-benefit ratio, without having the taxpayer and the ratepayer to make up the difference. Would any business person in Silver City, looking at the prospects for success, financial success, and look at a project like this and want to invest their money? The answer is clearly no. Now, I don't know whether I'm speaking to the commissioners who still have a somewhat open mind on this or not. I don't know. Louis Armstrong once said, some people, you can't tell them what they don't already know. And what I'm hoping is that you're going to keep an open mind to this. Were you to go ahead with this, and in the unlikely event that this boondoggle happened and the money was spent and we got very little from it, in fact we got negative from it, I would suggest that those of you that voted for it have your name put on a plaque attached to it so we don't forget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is Dutch Selman. I'm a Grant County resident. And I think when you start out with a bad resolution, you can inspire a counter-resolution. So I would say, whereas the New Mexico unit of the CAP is going to cost about $1 billion and provide less than 5,000 acre-feet of water. And whereas Blue Incorporated, a hydrology firm, has recorded that Grant County achieves a net recharge in excess of withdrawal on natural recharge of rainfall. And whereas Freeport-McMoran has water rights in the southwest New Mexico area in excess of 60,000 acre-feet, of which they're only using about 15%. And whereas the New Mexico unit of the CAP will cause the destruction of wildlife, habitats, and not incidentally several of my favorite fishing holes. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I strongly suggest that you take the New Mexico unit of the CAP and this resolution out behind the barn and pound it down a badger hole where it belongs. Thank you very much.
My name is Gage Madrid. I am a sophomore at Aldo Leopold Charter School. I have several reasons why I oppose the diversion, some personal and some for the benefit of the land. Do you all understand what this diversion is going to do to our beautiful riparian area that the Gila River runs through? It's going to destroy all kinds of native species that have been a part of this community longer than we have. And I don't see why we have to disrespect them just so you all can get money. I mean, why don't they matter? Why don't they get to have a choice? Also, as my friend Austin pointed out, Ella, Michael, and Ella fought hard, especially Ella Kirk, to avoid this project. And Ella Kirk took a petition up to Governor Martinez against the diversion. And it basically got turned away like a piece of garbage. That was not a piece of garbage. Quite frankly, this is going to destroy Silver City if you go through with this. Just so that way you can get money and suck up to the big guys. That's not good, and that's unfair. Thank you.
Commissioners, elected officials, friendly faces. I would like to not point out, because it has been done so thoroughly already, the environmental impact and the economic impact of the diversion project, but the social impact and the kind of world that I would like to live in. And the kind of world that I would like to live in is one where we don't take from our natural resources and we use our natural resources that we have currently more effectively, more efficiently. And I know sometimes the word conserve makes some people cringe, and I don't think it should anymore. I really think that we should be able to use the water that we have currently, and I don't think we need to do this diversion because of that, because we have enough water already. I would like to invite anybody who is against the diversion to please stand up, just so we can see this room here. A majority of this room are the youth of our future. The majority of this room just got back from a backpacking trip where they were on the Gila River. It's gorgeous. It's an economic draw to our community. And bringing it back to this resolution is for a group of people to make a recommendation to the Interstate Stream Commission. If this group of people does not have someone who represents Silver City, who represents these people in this room, then we're doing a disservice to the Gila River's advocates. These are the Gila River advocates, the people of Silver City, and this group that you are approving right now doesn't have any one of them on it. And I would just like you to, I'm grateful and I respect your decision,
And I just would like to take into account that we need, if we bring a group, if Grant County brings a group to the Interstate Stream Commission, that it should have full representation, especially of the Gila River advocates. So thank you.
Hey, ma'am, what's your name?
Excuse me. My name is Madeline Alfaro.
Madeline, I'd like to thank you for being civil and professional. Thank you.
So we're going to close public comment on this subject now, and I'm going to ask Anthony to close for us.
Mr. Chairman, the only thing I have to say is that I'm a lifetime resident of the Gila Valley myself, and I enjoy those walks they talk about, and my family's there, but I also represent, through the Gila San Francisco Water Commission, I represent all the farmers and ranchers who no longer have a value-added product, their farms are all now permanent pasture because they can't grow the corn and the milo and the alfalfa and the oats and everything that I saw whenever I was a kid. There is no economic vitality in the area anymore. We used to have several stores, 2 gas stations, and even a couple of bars, which you may or may not like, but the fact is it brought economy to the area. We also see where there's already an existing diversion in the area, the existing diversion of Bill Evans. It's brought millions and millions and millions of economic impact to our community. Although certainly, potentially it might have an impact in the immediate area to the riparian. Both upstream and downstream are both centralized areas for endangered species. The birding area is actually downstream from the diversion. So while we want to take care, and the NEPA process will point out anything that we already don't know about what we have to do to divert water. The resolution itself doesn't agree with the current construction or project that the ISC is proposing. What it does is it establishes the New Mexico unit. It gives us our right to the water if we so choose. It also establishes the CAP entity to assist in utilizing both the monies that they're talking about, which there's not enough monies in $66 million to pay for the alternatives. Those reach in the hundreds of millions already. So while we can think with our hearts, and we can say things that mean a lot to us, and the Gila River means more to me than anybody in here, I can guarantee it. Fact is, this summer, Hannibal ran out of water. The village of Santa Clara is in dire straits with their wells and being able to produce enough water for their village. The city of Bayard has difficulties meeting the demand. Hurley also has now just signed a contract to extend their water for only a few years. So there's a lot of things about water that people don't necessarily know or understand. And I don't think by continually drilling new wells and drilling new wells is the answer. So the resolution, all it says is we're going to take the stance on the right to the water that belongs to New Mexico. The only one that's been benefiting from that water is the state of Arizona. And I feel that we should assert our assertiveness for the benefit of Southwest New Mexico.
Thank you. Yes, staff. Want to weigh in? No? Any other electeds? Management? Nope. What's the? Sure. Go ahead, Lupe. Come on up. Good to see you out of the chair.
Thank you. My name is Guadalupe Cano, and I am the District 4 City Councilor for Silver City. I was elected in March. Since then, I have spoken to well over 100 people through text message, email, face-to-face conversations. Not once have I met someone who told me I am in favor of this diversion. So I'm here standing with this group of people saying, please really think about this. Continue the conversation. If there isn't a deadline right now, table it and keep thinking about it, because it's important to our community to keep the Gila the way it is. Thank you.
Commissioners?
I just like to say I'm a fifth-generation resident also, not just a commissioner, but a business owner, and I've lived here all my life, and there are hard decisions to make when you're an elected official, very hard decisions. But our job is to provide and make sure that the generations to come have what they need to continue to live and survive in this area, and that is what my job is, and that's what I'll continue to do. And I've traveled up and down the Gila River. I've enjoyed the Gila River. I've been able to hunt around the Gila River. I've fished the Gila River and had some great times. We've camped along the Gila River, and no one knows how much fun you can have as well as I do around that Gila River. But we do also have to look at what the future holds for this area, and want to make sure that we've got generations to come that'll be able to consume the water and continue to live here. So I thank you very much, and that is the way I feel at this point.
Okay. I wish that we would have had more comment directed directly to this resolution rather than the broader ideology of diversion and such. I felt as though some of the comments were not really at this time relevant. So what's the favor of the commission? Approve or disapprove?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve Resolution R-14-56, resolution support of the allocation water connected to the AWSA, plus identifying the Gila San Francisco as the CAP entity to actually contract for the water.
Second. Excuse me. There's a motion and a second to approve the resolution R-1456. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes.
The squeaky wheel comes out again.
Okay. Give that to Rob. Next item on the agenda is bids. Approve or disapprove award of IFB bid B1401, aviation gasoline, jet fuel, and refueler for the Grant County Airport. Shirley?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, we received 2 responses to the RFP for jet fuel and aviation gas and truck lease from Epic and World Fuel. You have a recommendation from Justin Reese, the airport manager, to look at World Fuel Services. He based that upon the results of the bid, as well as World Fuel Services having familiarity with the airport. They currently have signage. It's their credit card machine. It would allow them to get into the facility quicker than going with the other. World Fuel did not have a markup on the rack rate. The other responder, Epic Aviation, did have a 30.3320 markup on the aviation gas and 0.2440 on the jet fuel. When you look at the results of the bid, they come out pretty much equal when you look at the differences in the truck. And the lease price was, the truck was different, the fuel prices were all different, but based on Justin's of the availability of getting this provider in there sooner rather than later, it's our recommendation that you award to World Fuel Services.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I just want to say that based on World Fuel, they're familiar with the area, their signage is there, just what the manager, Charlene, has talked about, and that's one of the reasons. I mean, they're basically all the same, but because of familiarity with the World Fuel, we think that they would probably fit best for us.
Can a motion to approve or disapprove the bid? Sure. 1401?
I'll make a motion to approve award of IFB bid B1401 aviation fuel, jet fuel, and refueler for Grant County Airport.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve bid B1401. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. The motion to recess the Grant County Board of Commissioners.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Call to order the Grant County Indigent and Health Plan Claims Board. Approve or disapprove a September 18th, 2014 indigent burial certificate for Bright Funeral Homes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the September 18th, 2014 indigent burial certificate.
Second.
There's a motion and proper second to approve the indigent burial certificate. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Can I get a motion to adjourn the Grant County Indigent Health Plan Claims Board?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Call to order the Grant County Board of Commissioners, and at this time we'll stand for county reports. Since Randy's over there talking, we'll start with him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Just clarifying something with Earl. Where am I at? No. I just want to start with some of the Terry with senior program attended some budget training in Santa Fe last week. We got Sidney McLean also going to be in Santa Fe at the end of this month. The Legislative Finance Committee did an audit on the DWI program, and they will have those hearings at the end of this month, and she'll be attending those and kind of get a breakdown. I think Cindy's probably her tenure with the DWI program is probably the longest in the state, so she's going to represent Grant County there. Shooting range with Public Works, we've started the construction on the old high house over there. Tore that all down, disconnected electricity, so that's hopefully we're going to be working. I think Justin is talking to Earl, which I was trying to clarify there a moment ago about getting a backhoe over there for Thursday. Working hard at that, hoping that'll get done. Again, that was a grant awarded by Freeport-McMoran to allow us to, with a match, to go in and with in-kind to do that project. Fort Baird, we've done some work at Fort Baird, put up a new wall up there, make it the noise probably less for the hospital side. Also did some painting and some tile work there on the counters. So hopefully that'll work. So that's coming out real good. Along with the weeds still. And I hate to say this but I mean, we're going to have weeds for a while. Look at the fuels out there from a fire standpoint. And, so we're trying to keep up with those. At the airport, talked about the fuel farm already. Talked about the contract with aviation. James, who came from the detention center, has done an absolute fantastic job for us. His ability and his knowledge to work on things that has already saved us some money, because he knew hydraulics and he worked in the military, working on equipment of that sort. So he's already paid dividends for us. With the fuel farm, we want to get him trained in that once we get started. That was another duty of his while he was in the Army. He did work on fuel farms there, so gives a little experience there. We've cleaned it up. We're supposed to have an inspection today, but with no fuel, they sent us a letter. Justin and I this morning were making some calls. It was supposed to be today. Nobody contacted us with that, but we did have James clean up around there and get it ready for inspection, even if they were going to come down today. About the runway project, some of the cracks in the runway could only be from the Federal Aviation, about 3 inches wide. There's some there that were 4, 5, 6 inches wide. So James did that with his previous job as well. Did some patching with one of the municipalities, so we were able to get him some hot mix out there and at least patch up until we can get this thing redone, resealed. And so that's actually going to help them. They told us if we can do that, when they come back and reseal, they'll just make sure that those stay in place and able to seal that. He was also working on received the maintenance grants that I think that Linda talked about for $10,000, which was a match of $1,000 for the county. We were working with Mr. Staley, JPO, helping us in areas of county parks, at Baton Park, also at the Silver City Senior Center with his crew, helping cleaning weeds. So we want to thank him for getting on board with Justin and working with him to help meet those needs. They were out there and helped the Cobre Cross Country when it was here to clean their trails and so forth, and all the people that worked with that. Conference Center, we got Freeport-McMoran in there all week long that has actually leased the entire facility all this week. I mean, from one end to the other. So we're busy with that every morning. Got the guys coming in early to make sure they get over there and get everything set up. Bathrooms clean, trash thrown out, because they've leased the entire facility, and it might go into next week. So that was something we're working there. From the fire departments, I was going to have a couple of members from PA and Fort Baird who received certificate for the ISO rating, which brought it down. I was going to do this on Thursdays, didn't realize that we had a commission meeting was today. So hopefully we'll do that in the next commission meeting. I'll bring them on board. Along with Tyrone Volunteer Fire Department, they went to some training in Socorro at the Academy. They were able to come away with some awards at some team competitions there, so I wanted to recognize them, and we'll do that as we go. Hopefully in the next meeting I'll bring them. Tyrone addition is almost complete. We're at the final stages of that, working with Mr. Robinson as the architect who took over. The project has done a fantastic job for us and has kept everything pretty much on track. So we're about to close that out. And so other than that, unless you have any questions, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have.
No? All right, you all for it today? I'm thinking of one. No. Earl?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, it's business as usual down there. We've got all 6 blades running. We've got all the ranchers are starting to ship cattle this time of year, so we're really hitting those ranch roads hard right now. We're scattered out all the way from Hatchita to Cliff to the village of Red Rock to Lake Roberts. So just everybody have patience. We'll get to you as soon as we can. There's nothing, no flood damage, just a lot of mess to clean up going behind, and that's what we've been working on.
You know, it came nice and slow.
Nice and slow.
I guess there was a little damage at a cliff somewhere, is what I understand. That may have been on State Highway.
Yeah.
Crossing Bear Creek when it's running is not a good idea.
No.
On bike or car.
No.
Anthony, you got anything?
Mr. Chairman, I think I actually have too much for the length of this meeting, but there's several things I want to bring to your attention. We have begun the final design for the sheriff's vault and secure storage area. We got the engineers and the architect working on that now. We did have a preliminary design, but now I give according to the final design and make all the recommendations we have to. There's also been a call for projects with the Economic Development Association. There are federal dollars. We are going to put together a proposal. It's my understanding we're going to put a proposal together that includes our local monies for the inside of the building, proposed expansion of Ace Hardware, which would be private dollars, and we want to try and obtain monies for the roof through the EDA. I think that's will be an additional $700,000 or something. So I think that we have an extremely eligible project. The points will be really high up because it is a local match, a federal dollar, and a private dollar project. So I think that will give us a lot of leverage whenever we go out for the application. Also, I've been speaking with Engineers Inc., representative from Engineers Inc. It's my understanding that the state now wants to put a lift station at Fort Baird. We have had some discussions about the lift station being on county property. We do, however, I have taken the liberty to voice my opinion about actually owning or maintaining the structure. Infrastructure, so we still haven't got that all worked out, but I just got another phone call this morning from Gary Bird, and so I think that's what we'll need to do. We'll need to tell them we want to provide the right-of-way But I think that we'll have to find somebody to own and maintain the lift station itself. So we'll see how that works out. Also, went to the training for Federal Transportation Funding Management with the DOT in Las Cruces. It was a 2-day training. Somewhat repetitive, but it did. The federal government and the state government do have some pretty heavy restrictions on how you can spend money. It's not unlike any of the other mandates that we receive by the executive order or by the DFA, so I think we'll be okay. The Colonias money is fixing to be let. We have some issues with right-of-way. We claimed prescriptive right to get our certification from the DOT when it was a GRIP 2 project, but apparently that was never recorded in the clerk's office, so I think that's pretty simple to do. The Engineers Inc. is getting that information for us right now so that we can get that done, and so then the Colonias money for the Rosedale project will become available. Also submitted to USDA, there was some money left over from the North Hurley wastewater project. They submitted a request for the 10 leftover residences to have smaller lift stations to be able to enter into the overall system. Right now they're still working on septic tanks. Want to remove all those septic tanks so we can actually force flow into the existing pipeline and go ahead and get all the rest of those residences online with what we just did, with the project we just did. Also, a proposal to place solar power on the lift station that we just placed in to offset our costs for that lift station. I did hire 2 new people in my office last week. I hired a new mapper GIS person, Daniel Array. I also hired a new title examiner and ordinance officer. His name is Charles Correll. He's actually from Luna County. Daniel going to come to us from Freeport-McMoRan. He works in the engineering department over there. Both seem to be pretty capable of getting a job done. And with that, one of the first things that Mr. Correll is going to have to do is get the assessment districts for both Loma Verde and Wind Canyon started. I wanted to hold off on those 2 assessment districts until we got somebody hired, so they could start all the way from the beginning of the process, and that way they'll be knowledgeable of how that works. Also, we certainly don't want to talk anymore about the Arizona Water Settlements Act, but I did make a presentation to the ISC on a finance and business plan. I think that I think it's a good finance and business plan. It's not unlike any other finance and business plan we use for financing infrastructure for any local or state government. So I think we use the same structure, and I think it's a good, viable plan. One more thing, the Grant County Community Health Council will hold some trainings on Friday, October 17th from 1 to 4 o'clock on the Freeport-McMoRan Community Investment Fund. This is the fund that allows nonprofits to apply for grant monies from Freeport-McMoRan. I think the total annually is about $500,000. Most of the time, I think there's an unwritten limit on the amount of proposals can apply for at around 50,000. But I am on the number one. I'll be on the board to assist in answering any questions. I have been on that committee for 3 years, and I actually was voted in to be on the committee for the next 3 years. So, but that will be at the Western New Mexico Bessie Ford Resource Center Auditorium on, like I said, Friday, October 17th from 1 to 4. Mr. Chairman, that's all I've got.
Any questions for Anthony? Not today. Thank you. All right. Then we will move to the sheriff.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Just wanted to report, it's been fairly busy for us this last couple of months. We've been on the go quite a bit. Just glad that we were able to deal with that jail issue and get it taken care of with these escapees I want to thank my staff for really working diligently on that case and getting those guys put back in. So I do want to thank them for the hard work that they did. I also want to thank the entities that helped us out through that mission. It was, like I said, long hours, a lot of manpower. We got that done. I also would like to report that my reserve deputies have been out quite a bit helping us with special events, different things going on. We had the event in PA. Next weekend we have the event out in Mimbres. We had the Cliff Fair. They're very beneficial to the Sheriff's Office, and I want to thank them for what they do for us, as they are volunteers. They come out there on their own time and participate in our events, so I want to thank them for what they do. Other than that, I have nothing else to report unless you have any questions.
Questions for the Sheriff today?
I think the only thing, when you brought it up, the detention center, I received more calls on notification that someone had escaped was delayed. Can you tell me who is responsible for that and why it wasn't done better?
What I can respond to that, Commissioner Hall, is that and this is my personal thing, I mean, we're going to work on it, we're meeting on it, but me personally, I feel that the moment we received the phone call that these individuals had escaped, the jail should have notified dispatch to send it out immediately. I did respond to the newspaper on it in regards to it. A lot of people assume that I control the jail. I have nothing to do with the jail. It's not under my direction. But as soon as I found out that it had not been done, I did do the reverse notification, but we are going to work on that and try and get that resolved. But from now on, any incident that happens that we're going to be involved in, I'm going to take the lead on it and just do it. Hopefully we come up with a consensus on how we're going to do this, but from now on I will automatically just do it and not assume that somebody else has done it.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate that. I can depend on that.
Any other questions?
No, I just want to, thank you for working so hard to capturing these two, and I'm glad we captured them within 2 days. You know, once they were out, I feared that they're going to be out for a long time, so I thank you very much. I know two days probably seemed like too much for you, but we appreciate what you guys did, you and your staff, and I know there was a lot of hard work out there, and thank you for keeping us informed.
I just want to make a correction, it was 5 days that they were out, but they were on the go. We were after them every single day. Something was happening with them, so we didn't stop until they were caught, and just thankful nobody got hurt, and everybody went home and they're back where they belong.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Thank you, Sheriff. Steve, you got anything today?
Well, we've got the New Mexico Property Tax Division in our offices still. Tentatively, November 19th for the auction, unless something comes up. We have been collecting quite a few of the delinquent accounts, so we've been staying pretty busy with that. Okay. So, well, they're back here today again, and we'll be working more. We did have finally the exit audit conference with the Property Tax Division audit that they did back in February. They barely got back with us, and we answered all their questions, and we'll be submitting that in writing, and everything seems to be fine with them, so. Good.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any questions for Steve? Nope. Okay, Mary?
I have no more.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question on that.
Okay. Chairman, I think you can start. Go ahead, I'll let you.
Thank you. Did want to mention that early voting begins today. It started in our office this morning at 8, runs the entire month of October, 8 to 5 in our office. Absentee voting has begun as well. If you need an application, please call our office, 574-0042, or you can download the application from the website, fill it in, and then send that in to us, and we'll get your absentee ballot out to you so you can vote at home. Early voting begins at the Baird Community Center on Saturday, October 18th. The hours there are Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 6. That's all I have, unless you have any other questions for me.
Thanks, sir. Well, we're looking forward to another good election, and all your hard work, thank you in advance.
Okay. Charlie, do you have anything today? No.
Wow. That's impressive. Your name isn't John, is it?
Well, I just want to say, we have continued meetings with WNMU. Dr. Joe Shepard has been really good and real good to work with. We are working at Better GIS program again, like we had spoke before. We had a couple meetings, Echo Watershed meetings, where we had our GIS person from Highlands come down, and we've got a lot of good information. We all the entities, which include Forest Service, State Forestry, BLM, County, and the different participants were very good. We've narrowed down what watersheds and what areas that we really want to protect, and that was really something that we needed to do, being that the funds for that GIS program through Highlands has 10 months to utilize their funds. So we're trying to work as fast as we can. We had a great meeting, we really did, narrowing down the watersheds. It was amazing the way the different layers of mapping information just corresponded on where we needed to protect. We took information from the county, from the forest, and even from the state BLM, and things lined up really, really well. I'd like to thank Randy for participating. He was really important. Brought some real important information to our group, and it looks like we're heading in the right direction. We have also met with Dr. Shepard on the baseball. He has asked his athletic director to see what it costs to bring baseball back into Western New Mexico University, and also what it would cost to bring women's soccer and women's track. So that's something that we're looking at. I've also met with Senator Morales, and we've discussed how to get some of the funding for lights and what have you for our field that we want to go ahead and dedicate to WNMU. Let's see. As far as our meeting today, I'm really glad to see our youth participating in our meetings. But I would really like to see the youth stay here throughout the whole meeting, and not just through the controversial stuff that others brought them in to voice their opinions, which is really good that they're voicing their opinions. We welcome that, but bring them in more often, not just for the controversial issues. And I think we need to bring in, welcome Cobre and Silver also to bring in their students. I know they'd have to get bused over here, but we need to welcome them also and get them to participate in these actions.
Yes, ma'am?
Sorry, I'm Peter Aldo, and I just wanted to let you know that a lot of the students were deeply embarrassed by the disrespect shown by one student in particular, and that he will be sending you an apology letter. So I just want to let you know that, and he didn't, that way of conducting himself wasn't representative of Aldo, and I just want to speak for the school and tell you that, and to thank you for the work that you do. And I teach citizenship to some of the older students, and we would love to come in and participate, and I think it was great they stayed for a lot of the meeting because they got to hear all the other good work that you guys do. So I will be talking to them about their experience and making sure that they're clear that, you guys work for the community, and that you are looking out for the best interests of the community. And so I just want to let you know that you'll be receiving that apology letter, okay?
Well, thank you very much. And I also want to go into that whenever we make a decision, and I think I speak for everyone here, that we don't just look and see what kind of squeaky wheel we have out in the audience. We look in general and try and take all the information we can before we make a decision. It's not shooting off the hip and trying to figure things out during that one meeting. We've been working on this for 4 years already. I know we're going on 4 years already. At the end of December, participating in this commission has been a great opportunity, and we'll continue to try and make the best decisions that we can for our community and for the future. But I just had to state that, because we don't just listen to the squeaky wheel. We look at all the general information that's been given to us throughout the years. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for coming.
I want to say I'm very impressed with the administration at your school. it's very refreshing to hear you come and say what you said, and that puts a different light on it, because it was quite depressing after we made our vote and we heard what happened. And so thank you very much for coming, and thank your students for coming. We welcome them anytime. We'd love to have them.
They're still learning how to be citizens and learning how to conduct themselves, and so we'll be talking to them about that. And so thank you for welcoming us here.
I get mad at Commissioner Ramos all the time, but I won't say anything about it. No, I don't.
It's actually Commissioner Hall's turn, but if you have something to, what do you want to say, ma'am?
I just wanted to say that if those kids were not here at their age, they wouldn't be here at my age. And I was like they were. I'm 77. I'm still coming and participating. If you don't reach for the stars, you're only going to come up with mud. And so let's emphasize that it's wonderful.
It is, it's great. I agree.
Any of the kids come. Yes, they need to learn a little niceties, but consider their age, and we should be thankful that they're going to be here. Certainly, well before I'm going to be pushing up daisies.
I can promise you I won't be here when I'm 77. Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner.
Just real short, we continue to work on, have a great committee with Susie Trujillo and Mike Carrillo on the adult substance abuse continuum of care. We are now completed with phase 1, and that's a hoorah. And which was the feasibility and need, and as a result of that, and we moved on to phase 2, which we're going to be working on the RFP. Got a group that we hope to contract soon to help us with the RFP. It's just a want list as far as the studies that we have made from the feasibility and need, what this community needs as far as behavioral science is concerned on substance abuse, and now put that into an RFP so we can then have contractors then bid on it, so we can make a determination of who would best carry out the needs of this community as far as substance abuse treatment is concerned. We're also in that phase 2, we're going to be dealing with the architecture and the building and stuff. We got a proposed one now that we've looked in, and our chair took to Dallas along with our attorney to discuss as far as the bonds were concerned. And so we are looking at that and working on that, and then we'll go into the other 2-3 phases, or actually 3 others. Really excited went out to the fair, and that looked really great. I compliment the work that the fair board had done. The numbers look great considering the economic situation we're still in this county and this state, but I was really excited to see some new participants and stuff that was involved. If you ever get a chance, I think the best part of that fair is going out and watching those kids show their animals. And after that's done, I'm done. I've seen everything I want to see. But it's so wonderful. You think about the many hours. And the sale is so important. I'm probably taking his thunder. The sale is so important because if they don't go do good at the sale, guess what? They can't continue to participate. So, as a community, I really think it's important that you work at that, and go out there and support them, because these kids, if it's 100 degrees outside or 20 below, they're out there taking care of their animals, and then to have so much love for them, and then to get them up for slaughter, man, it's going to take some thinking, But born and raised on a farm and dairy, I understand that, that's the reason we grow them, and that's the reason we grow our corn, so we can eat it, right? So anyway, the other thing, we continue to work, the fair, at the fairgrounds, the exhibit building. Those of you who went, we had 3 walls, actually, buddy, on 3 walls. And it's looking good. It's going to be a great asset to that community, and to anyone who goes out there and wishes to use it. We'll have a system set up so they can use it. Continue to work on the dog ordinance. This is, I really, as a judge, I saw a lot of problems in it, and I thought, well, when I get on as a commissioner, I'm going to change all that. Man, it's tough work, let me tell you, because you try to balance, just like Commissioner Ramos says, you try to balance the needs of and the opinions of people. And as a judge, I was used to that, and as a police officer, but it continues, because then, it's just something you have to keep in mind. Got a great committee I'm working with now. Another committee that we've been meeting frequently is the JJAC, the Juvenile Justice Committee. And the work that they have done is just excellent. That's through the district court, where they're bringing in programs from different communities and designing them around what we have here and what our needs are, and not only just for those that have been adjudicated, but those as a preventive measure. So it's been really great working with them, and they brought down some programs that they had went up to Farmington and looked at, and so we've been. They had a presentation the other day, and I was really impressed with that. But then there's some others, but basically that's it. That's the high points.
I'm glad you talked about the fair.
Good job.
I'm glad you talked about the fair, because I'm tired of talking already today. So, for those of you who don't know, we've had a death in the family. In my family, my wife's dad passed away this Monday morning. So I'm going to be out for the next couple of weeks, going and taking care of her and things. So I know that the sheriff has asked me to attend a meeting, and I knew you were kind of in charge of dogs and roads. I would wonder if you'd fill in for me on that. I don't think the sheriff's made that meeting quite yet, but I think he's going to soon.
I'll talk to you at the meeting.
I'm glad you mentioned dogs and roads. That's great.
And because all the road problems are Ron's.
Please contact Ron if you have a road problem.
I know who to call.
So, with that being said, I think I'll take a motion to move into executive session.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Can you take roll call for us, Rob?
You will be entering into executive session.
Yes, I am.
Chairman Caston, are you aware that you'll be entering into executive session?
I am.
Commissioner Hall, are you aware that you'll be entering into executive session?
We are now in executive session.